Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to go through this Mastery Workspace. We're going to go through this step by step. And this is the Mastery Workspace called Modeling a Constant of Proportionality. So again, we're going to go through the step by step just kind of as a tool for you to know how to get through this problem. Remember, when it comes to a Mastery Workspace, there's no little bars at the top that say, oh, you just need to do this. This is about skills, so making sure you have the skills appropriately needed to continue on. So please watch this video for you to be successful, and let's get started. So I'm going to read the question first, and then we're going to get to the actual solving of the problem. So it says, you maintain an inventory for a local craft store. One of the store's most frequent customers is a lady named Miss Bestwick. You notice that typically 4 out of every 7 items on backorder are for Miss Bestwick. So we have 3 questions here. The first question says, if the total number of sticker labels on backorder is 28, how many of these items on backorder are Miss Bestwick's? Well, if you look over here at the problem, we have items on backorder as our first column, and Miss Bestwick's items as our second column. So right now we're looking for the items on backorder. Well, if we go back to the question, the total number of sticker labels on backorder is 28. So we're going to hit 28 and enter. Now, Miss Bestwick's items, the number of items Miss Bestwick has on backorder is this fraction. And this is the number of items that are on backorder for Miss Bestwick. So it's 4 sevens, right? 4 out of every 7 items. So when we say that 4 out of 7, that means we're going to multiply that number, 4 sevens, by the number of items on backorder, 28. So to do that, we're going to do 4, the little backslash 7, and now you got to get to the side of it. So we're going to just press the little arrow or the space bar to get to the side. So we went from down here to the side. To do the multiplication symbol, you can either do parentheses, but I would recommend just doing Shift 8 and getting your little dot. And then you're going to type in 28. Hit enter, and you're going to notice that it actually solves it for you. So again, the ultimate goal here for MATHia is they're just trying to see if you know how to set up the equation correctly. So they're not wanting to know, can they multiply, can they divide? Right now, we just want to know, can you set up the equation correctly? If you did, you'll be sent to plot the point. So now we see that we need to plot a point to represent the solution to question 1. So when the number of items on backorder is 28, the number of items Miss Bestwick has on backorder is 16. So if you look here, our X value is items on backorder, and our Y value is Miss Bestwick's items. So let's look here. So if our X value is 28, we got to find it here on our graph. So it's right here, kind of between 25 and 30. And then we need to find the number of items on backorder for Miss Bestwick, which is 16. So that means we're going to go right up here, and we're going to plot this point. Now, if you plotted it correctly, they're going to move you on to question 2. If you don't plot it correctly, they're going to probably have you regraph or try again. So let's look at question 2. It says you have 14 marker packs on backorder. How many marker packs do you have on backorder for Miss Bestwick? So similar to question 1. So how many do we have on backorder? We have 14. So press our enter button. Again, we know that Miss Bestwick's items are the fraction 4 sevens. So just like we did before, 4 divided by 7 using that backslash times Shift 8, 14. Right? Because that's the number of backorder items we have. We're going to hit enter, and again, if we get it correctly, we set it up correctly, we will end up with the answer. So now we're going to plot our point. So again, number of items on backorder is 14. Number of items Miss Bestwick has, 8. We're going to come down here. Now this one's a little bit closer to the 15, but we're still here at 8. So let's graph that. So look what happened. Plot the point 14, 8 at the location on the graph where the horizontal coordinate is 14 and the vertical is 8. If you look, I didn't graph it right. I graphed it down here accidentally. So this is why it's very important to pay attention to make sure that you're graphing on the correct line. So once you've plotted 2 points correctly, Your job now is to draw a line. So MATHia only requires you to draw or to plot 2 points. Usually in math we ask you to plot 3 just so you can be 100% sure. So we're going to draw that line. And now we have to go to our third question. So let's take a look at it. So question 3 is a little bit different and a little bit more difficult. So it says, if the number of beads you have on back order from Miss Bestwick is 24, what is the total number of beads you have on back order? So this one's different. Instead of giving us the items on back order, they're giving us Miss Bestwick's items. So this is going to be a little bit different. So the number of items for Miss Bestwick is 24, but how are we going to figure out the number of items on back order? That's going to be kind of difficult. So in order to figure this out, we're going to have to create some type of expression. One that we can plug into. And so what we're going to start with is we need to identify an independent quantity that varies. So it says it varies from question to question, and that's because we represent it with a variable. So a variable, remember, is any letter A to Z. So for this, just because we're talking about back order items, I'm just going to use the letter B. You can use any letter A through Z. I'm going to use the letter B just because it represents back order. So now, to make an expression that identify Miss Bestwick's items, what we're going to have to do is, it says 4 out of every 7 items on back order are for Miss Bestwick. So the fraction of items on back order that are for Miss Bestwick is 4/7. We know that. We've been using this for a hot minute. So when it comes to writing the expression, you just kind of have to think about what we've been doing previously. Well, previously we would type 4/7 and then we multiply by the number of items on back order. Similarly here, when we're writing an expression, we're using our 4/7, but we're going to multiply the amount by our expression for number of items on back order. Well, the items on back order and our expression was B, so we're going to multiply that by B. If you think about it, that's literally what we've been doing, right? We typed in 4/7 times 28, we got 16. We typed in 4/7 times 14, we got 8. Now, it's going to take you to the solver, so it just kind of shows you where that is here. So step-by-step solver sample problem. So I would recommend highly, after you get through the step-by-step, you don't have to do the step-by-step after we've gone through it. If you get stuck, I would recommend maybe working through it. But this is where they're going to ask you to go, or this will be a suggestion, is going to the solver, just because it helps you kind of organize yourself and the steps that you need to take. So they took us to the solver automatically just because it is the step-by-step. So now the equation that they set up for us was 4b over 7 equals 24. So if you look here, that's what we're trying to solve, right? We're trying to 4 over 7 times b equals 24. So, because remember, this only equals the number of items Miss Bestwick sells or has on back order, and 24 technically it doesn't represent the number of back order items. We got to figure that out. That's B here. So in order to do that, we have to undo our division. Well, the only way to undo division is to multiply. So we're going to have to multiply both sides. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Now, the coefficient is 1/7. I know that 4 is there, but right now they're just saying it's 1/7. What value can you multiply both sides of the relation by so that the coefficient becomes 1? So basically what they're asking you is, how can we get rid of the 7 so we can make 4b be by itself? So we can get rid of the fraction. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by 7, right? So it's kind of like multiplying by the reciprocal, except for this time we're not going to put the 7 over 4. We're just going to multiply by 7 to get rid of it. When we multiply by 7, we're left with 4b equals 24 times 7. So now it says to rewrite the equation. So all you're going to do is multiply that 24 and 7, and you get 168. Now we are left with the equation 4b equals 168. So now, again, whenever you have a number and a variable right next to each other, we say, oh, that's a coefficient, but they're being multiplied. These two things, 4 and b, are being multiplied. In order to get them apart, you're going to have to divide both sides. Now, it says the coefficient is 4. What value can we divide both sides of the relation by? So the coefficient becomes 1. Well, in order to get this b by itself, we have to get rid of the 4. So clearly, we're going to divide by 4. And when we divide 4 by 4, we get 1. Or simply, we're just left with b. So now, you've already used the solver to calculate the value of b in the equation. So now we just need to enter the solution that we got. So we got 42. So that means if there are 42 items on back order, Miss Bestwick's items are there's 24 items for Miss Bestwick. So let's go down here, 42 and 24. And if you take a look, this point actually should lie on your line. I don't know if you guys saw that little shift, but that just shows you that technically I was off a little bit on my graphing, which you saw down here as well. I was off a little bit on my graphing. Now, if you're off just a little bit, they're going to just shift you down, and you know what? We're not going to penalize you for that. However, like you saw, I was down a whole extra line, so they said, no, you need to make sure you correct that. Because if I would have been down here, the line would not have been straight, and this point would not have made sense. So at this time, it is your time to go into your problem. So again, these are the things that they're testing you on. They want you to know if you can calculate your input value. They want you to know if you can write expression in any form, enter given, and then place points. So these are all based on all of these things here that we just did. Again, if you need any help, you know we are here. Please get started, and we will help you through.